Welcome to this episode of Horrific History and Hauntings. I'm Beth.
And I'm Ramey. We're your hosts, here to talk about the stories that the history books ignore.
From horrific epidemics and ghostly hauntings to the catastrophes and tragic events that have sickened humanity.
Yep. Beth, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about Memorial Day.
Oh, it's horrific.
Well, there's a couple horrific things that happen on Memorial Days. So I have a couple of those, and then there's a little brief history of Memorial Day. And then I have a list of the most common injuries and accidents on Memorial Day.
Is drunk driving one of them?
Yes.
I knew it. Judging by all the police banner things I see.
Yeah. I'm not going to go into detail for the today in history, but on May 13th, which is the day we're recording, in 1846, U.S. Congress declared war on Mexico because we wanted Texas.
Mexican-American War, and I do believe we won Texas.
Yeah, we did, obviously.
It doesn't want to stay. It keeps talking about leaving.
I don't blame it.
I don't have no dog in this race.
So, going into the history of Memorial Day. It's a federal holiday that occurs every last Monday in the month of May.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was originally known as Decoration Day, and it is our country's time to think about and honor the men and women who died serving in the military.
Yes. I know that much, too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the Decoration Day part.
Oh. As the Civil War was nearing its end, and in the following years, communities honored fallen soldiers by decorating their graves with flowers during the springtime, and that's when they called it Decoration Days.
Okay. Makes sense.
The tradition of placing flowers on graves has ancient origins. It goes back to the time of the Romans, and it continued to be practiced in the Western Europe area during the 19th century.
We still do it now. Matter of fact, it's a huge business.
Yeah. The Civil War, which ended in 1865, caused more deaths than any other U.S. war, and for that reason, it led to the creation of the country's first national cemeteries.
If we ever got into the Civil War, we would have like a multi-part series.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tragedy and ghost stories.
Yeah.
It would be the whole podcast. That's all it would be.
Yeah. On May 5th, 1868, the Grand Army of the Republic...
Are we talking about Star Wars?
No, I don't know anything about Star Wars. Which was led by Major General John A. Logan, issued the Memorial Day Act, which officially made Memorial Day the holiday to remember the fallen soldiers.
It's kind of nice they have a day set aside for it.
Yeah. And they would decorate graves with pretty much what you do now, flowers, wreaths, flags. In 1966, the federal government officially recognized Waterloo, New York, as the birthplace of Memorial Day.
I didn't know that.
Waterloo had its first Memorial Day celebration on May 5th, 1866. It was selected because it hosted a yearly event where the whole community participated. The businesses would close and residents would use that time to decorate graves.
I remember when I was living with Dad and my grandpa, we would go for Memorial Day and decorate graves, which is weird for us when you think about it.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore.
I just don't remember us ever going to a gravesite except for then.
Records suggest that one of the earliest Memorial Day commemorations was organized by a group of formerly enslaved people in Charleston, South Carolina. It was less than a month after the Confederacy surrendered.
I've been to Charleston. I did not know about that.
Yeah.
Took a horse ride through the whole city.
I mean, there's a little more when it comes to the history, but that's what I have for that part. And then I started going into tragic things that happen on Memorial Days. One was the Memorial Day Massacre. This was a strike. I want to say it had a lot to do with unions.
Yeah, that's
forming.
Yep.
As well. As part of the Little Steel Creek of 1937, workers from Republic Steel in Ohio went on strike demanding better treatment, safer working conditions, and higher wages.
How dare they?
I know, a livable wage and safer working conditions and getting treated like a human being. How dare they? Who do they think they are? Republic Steel had a mill in Chicago's southeast side. The company intended to break the strike using replacement workers, and this helped lead to violence. I think, from what I understand, it was actually the police that led to the violence, not the workers that were on strike.
Yeah.
But, yeah. On May 30th, 1937, striking Republic workers and their supporters tried to establish a picket line in front of the mill's prairie. the Chicago police, who were already present, responded with firearms, clubs, tear gas. They injured about 90 people and killed 10 men. Sam R. Popovich, Earl J. Hanley, Kenneth Reed, Hilding Anderson, Anthony Taglieri, I believe is how his last name's pronounced.
Yeah.
Lee Tisdale, Alfred Causey, Leo Francisco, Otis A. Jones, and Joseph Rothmund.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Officers claimed they reacted violently because the strikers were being violent and to protect the mill property as well as the country from communists.
That's always what people go to. Communists.
According to the Chicago Daily Tribune, 30 of the injured were wounded by gunfire, and among the injured, 26 of them were policemen.
The only reason we're laughing is because we've recently played and watched a lot of Fallout. Communists is blame for everything in Fallout. It still is in the world today. A lot of things are blamed on communism. People don't like Bernie Sanders because they say he's a communist.
From what I could understand, these strikers, it was just a gathering of workers and their families, and the kids were out playing in like the prairie, and they were having a picnic, a big group picnic. And they just weren't working.
They weren't working, and they were blocking the way for other people to get into work that wanted to work. That's what makes people mad. Not just that, and there's a lot. The companies are losing a lot of money, so they get upset about that.
Pay them correctly.
They don't want to pay extra people because they're still losing money.
Conditions.
It's a big mess, and
if you can't afford to pay your employees a livable wage and treat them decently and give them safe working conditions, you should not be in business. Obviously, this pissed people off, and protests in support of the Republic Steel strikers continued following the Memorial Day Massacre.
It's good.
Yeah.
Keep supporting them. There's a reason all these people get upset about something.
Yeah. You don't have that many people striking if there's not a big issue going on.
Yeah, if you got one person or maybe two people, usually it's a disgruntled employee. If you get more than that, it's a strike, and the company's usually done something to cause it.
Mm-hmm. The Joplin, Missouri tornado also happened on May 22nd, 2011 in Joplin, Missouri.
Oh,
clearly.
I never guessed that.
Yeah. It was the most expensive tornado disaster in history. I don't know when this was updated. As far as I know, as far as I know, it's still one of the worst.
How much was it?
Just the insured losses neared nearly $2 billion.
That's a lot. That's a whole lot.
It also ranks among the most lethal tornadoes in U.S. history. It claimed the lives of 161 individuals and left about 1,000 more injured.
And the thing is that every Memorial Day, all these people that survived will remember this mess.
Yeah.
That's another tragedy of the whole thing, because it's a federal holiday. The whole country is going to recognize this holiday, and you're stuck thinking, well, that sucked.
The magnitude of the Joplin tornado disaster attracted scientists to investigate what caused the storm to be so destructive and how to better protect and prepare people in the future.
And there's a movie called
Twisters.
Yeah, I loved the first Twister, but that's what these people are trying to do too in the movie, I think.
Yeah. They ended up finding out that it became so big so quickly and so destructive so quickly because it was one big storm, and then behind that was a bunch of little storms that kept merging into the bigger storm. That plus, I want to say it was a dense area.
Yeah.
With houses. That also didn't help.
No, that's the worst place it could have landed.
Yeah. At 1:06 p.m., conditions became favorable for a tornado, and a tornado watch was issued for areas spanning Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. The storm started to develop over Kansas about 4:30 p.m., and at approximately 5:09 p.m., a tornado warning was issued for an area located just north of Joplin. A warning was issued around Joplin at 5:17 p.m., so not long after.
No.
I forgot what the difference is between warning and watches.
I always assume watch is less serious, but I could be very wrong. We don't get many of them here.
No.
Knock on wood. It's kind of been increasing here a bit last few years.
Yeah.
What is surprising to me is not a single communist was blamed for this.
No. Nope. I don't know how to blame a communist for this.
Sure,
somebody
out there says
those darn weather balloons they keep seeing.
You think this is a joke? There is people who believe stuff like that. I'm pretty sure people were saying stuff like that back when that thing was flying over.
Yeah. That's where I got it from, because I heard all about that. 17 minutes later, a mile-wide tornado was on its way to Joplin. The radar displayed a strong signal indicating high density, and a swirling mass of debris had been lifted from the ground and was being carried by the tornado.
I remember seeing YouTube videos about all this. This is a nightmare situation.
Yeah.
It's a mile wide. How are you going to get away?
Yeah, exactly. And then not long after this one, another mile-wide tornado struck not far from there, I believe.
The perfect storm situation.
Yeah. Afterward, Joplin residents discovered entire blocks ravaged by winds reaching up to 200 miles per hour. Buildings and homes lay in ruins, lives were lost, and entire neighborhoods were torn to pieces. Scientists discovered that numerous smaller storms merged with larger storm clouds, causing it to rapidly intensify. It was also found that the areas with the most damage and deaths had lacked basements, tornado shelters, and many of the affected buildings were not built to withstand the force of a tornado that was even an F3.
Well, this was a mile wide and much.
This, I believe, was an F5.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. It was found that stronger and reinforced roofs were observed to be beneficial, pretty much.
Common sense.
Well, it was noted that once the roof was ripped off, the walls were more prone to collapsing.
Mm-hmm. Same with windows. You best be keeping those windows shut.
Yeah.
And shuttered.
Yeah. Joplin, Missouri hosts a marathon now that thousands of people attend. They come together as a community to honor the loved ones lost during the tornado disaster and to help rebuild and benefit their community.
I was only in a smaller tornado once, and I was still not terribly close to it, and it was blackout dark. People were driving off roads into holes because it was so dark.
The wind was...
It was terrifying.
The noise was terrifying.
Yeah. The person in front of me drove off.
And it wasn't even like... It was close to us, but it wasn't.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how... can you imagine a large one, like a mile wide?
No.
It'd fill the entire valley we live in and just travel down. And we have our dairy with its leaky roof.
I don't think our dairy is going to protect us at this point.
I think the best bet, is what I've heard, is to run out to the end of the driveway and crawl into the drain pipes.
That big random hole we always have.
We also have that drain pipe that runs under the road right by there. That'd be a good choice.
Until it floods.
I don't think it'll flood as much as the wind would kill us.
But there also, it was noted that it just ripped the houses off their foundation. So they need to properly make sure their foundation is good to go in these areas.
It's expensive to build a tornado-proof home.
Yeah.
It's like hurricane-proof homing. It's expensive, and I've never considered looking into doing it because obviously outside of our reach, but it would be a comfort to know if you could afford it.
Yeah. And then moving on to common Memorial Day injuries and accidents. It's just a short list and pretty much kind of obvious, but I ran out of ideas for this particular episode. So
not much happened on Memorial Day besides all the remembering and dying.
The most common thing I found when I looked up disasters that happened on Memorial Day was car crashes. They come in first place.
I knew it. Even our local high schools have been putting up signs and driving things for students today.
Did you see the wrecked vehicles they had?
No, I didn't pass those.
They got some wrecked vehicles and put them out, and that one was for texting. Don't text and be distracted and drive.
I do see those signs too.
Pretty cool. No, it wasn't a sign. They got two actual vehicles.
No, I mean, I see the signs everywhere.
Oh, yeah. This is obviously due to increased traveling and drinking. There's also bicycle accidents and pedestrians getting hit by the vehicles, people falling, sunburns, dehydration, barbecuing accidents, burns and cuts and such.
Yeah.
There's swimming and other outdoor activities and sports, including boating accidents, and then injuries from fireworks.
I forget about the fireworks always.
Yeah. I don't remember fireworks a lot on Memorial Day. I don't really celebrate Memorial Day, though. I didn't even know it was Mother's Day yesterday till Mom came down and said it was Mother's Day.
I got her a card.
Oh, I didn't because I didn't realize it was Mother's Day.
I printed her a card. It said something about a mother goose.
Oh, That's all I have for Memorial Day. The tornado was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Especially if you look up the videos, it's kind of hard to get you to see in a podcast. This was a very destructive tornado. It was very fascinating.
I like to watch YouTube videos of them, but if I'm not careful, they will just fill my feed up with those and nothing actually educational anymore or entertaining or useful to the stuff I like when I'm not watching tornado and disaster stuff. Yeah. I had no idea about the tornado thing happening on Memorial Day.
Yeah. You're going to have to make sure this comes out before Memorial Day also.
I'll put it out next Wednesday. When's Memorial Day?
The 27th.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. Well, that was fun. If you like what you heard here, we are part of the Gruesome Gaming Group Podcast Network. Inside or in that network, you will find our other podcasts, such as For the Nose Quest, podcast where I tell Beth here about tabletop role-playing games, a different one every week. And then we have Leveling Duo. It's a podcast where me and Beth and me and my friend Dakota talk about video games. A new video game that's came out we really enjoy, or if it's me and Dakota, sometimes a retro game. But usually it's a new video game that only comes out occasionally, so we don't release them every week. And if you want to find those, there will be a Linktree link in the description. You click on it. The first link in that Linktree will be our website. Take you to all of our 3 podcasts. You can find in that section. Just subscribe, all that good stuff. There'll be a YouTube link in the Linktree, socials, TikTok, all that good stuff. Reach out to us. Let us know what you think. Share them. Below the Linktree link will be an option to contribute to the podcast if you want to do that. Help us keep the podcast hosted. We appreciate it if you do that. And then there's email links. You could email me and Beth and let us know what you think that way, or just say hi, reach out. Trying to put together a group of people to play tabletop role-playing games, D&D and stuff. If you want to try that, reach out through one of those links, any one of them, whichever one you can contact me through, be it TikTok, YouTube, or the email, preferably. All that good stuff. Anything else you want to say, Beth?
No.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. I have been Ramey.
And I'm Beth.
This has been HH&H. Bye-bye.